First at 4, we are learning about several deaths at a local nursing home. Also, Governor Whitmer pushes back against criticism of her stay-at-home extension. Dr. McGeorge.
Once our lockdown is scaled back, will we see another wave of virus in Metro Detroit? I'm Dr. Frank McGeorge. I'm answering this and a lot of other viewer questions coming up.
We are heading into Easter weekend dry, but we are not going to finish that way. How much rain are we expecting? And when are the winds coming back? Answers right now, first at 4.
Live from downtown Detroit, home of WDIV and Click on Detroit, Local 4 News First at 4 starts now.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Karen Drew. First at 4, one of the most difficult weeks of the coronavirus crisis is coming to an end. It's a confusing time. We are seeing signs of hope, but leaders warn if we let up too soon, the results could be disastrous. Today, the number of deaths in Michigan has jumped by more than 200. That is the highest number in a 24-hour period. The total is now nearly 2,300. So far, more than 22,000 Michiganders have contracted the virus. The president talked about Detroit during his daily task force briefing, and Mayor Duggan just announced he closed the skate park at Riverside Park because too many people were congregating. He emphasizes we cannot let up on social distancing. Meantime, a nursing home in Wayne County has turned into a deadly coronavirus hotspot. At least 7 people from the Rivergate Terrace in Riverview have died after testing positive. We're told a letter was sent out last month after a resident tested positive and later died. Since then, the facility confirms 21 residents and 15 employees have tested positive for the virus. Rivergate Terrace released a statement saying in part, quote, "Our heartfelt condolences go out to the friends and loved ones of the patients who have passed away. The safety and well-being of our residents will remain our highest priority as we continue to work in partnership with the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services and the Wayne County Health Department." Now, I did ask the governor about this nursing home this afternoon, and she tells me she is well aware of the facility and state officials are on the scene. We are also hearing from a woman whose mother died from the virus. Our coverage continues on this story tonight at 5. Meantime, today, the TCF Center in Detroit began accepting its first COVID-19 patients. Medical crews transformed the conference center into a temporary medical care facility. 970 beds now cover the 350,000 square foot convention floor. One encouraging sign, Mayor Duggan now says the city might only need a quarter of those beds. Meantime, another facility is being created at the Suburban Collection Showplace over in Novi. It should have 1,100 beds and could be ready to open in about 10 more days. Governor Gretchen Whitmer is responding today to criticism surrounding the extension of her stay-at-home order. Several Republicans say the order goes too far and is hurting family-owned businesses. And when I spoke to the governor this afternoon, she said that reaction is disappointing.
In the last 24 hours between when I announced the extension of the stay home, stay safe order and this interview, we've lost another 206 Michiganders to COVID-19. Before that, the highest number was 118 in a 24-hour period. That's a massive jump. And it tells you we are not out of the woods.
Now, the governor says she does understand the order is causing hardship, but says we need to flatten the curve before we carefully and safely get people back to work. Well, some cautious optimism today from the team leading the White House coronavirus response. Experts say for the first time in the U.S., we are seeing a leveling of the curve, but they agree we're not out of the woods yet. Kimberly Gill working this story from the newsroom with the very latest developments. Kim.
Hi, Karen. Good afternoon. President Trump's team of experts say we are at the end of the week that they were most worried about. They say because Americans have followed social distancing guidelines, there is a glimmer of hope, but in hotspots, especially like Detroit. Listen.
The situation in Detroit and New Orleans appears to be stabilizing. Detroit is really started to go up, and now it is stabilizing, and New Orleans is...
Yeah, and that's certainly good news. Holding his daily briefing early because of Good Friday today, the president said the death toll could hit 60,000. That's below the 100,000 that models were predicting just last week. Dr. Deborah Birx cautioned that the U.S. is likely not hit its peak yet and says we cannot let up on the precautions.
Have not reached the peak. And so every day we need to continue to do what we did yesterday and the week before and the week before that, because that's what in the end is going to take us up across the peak and down the other side.
It's important to remember that this is not the time to feel that since we have made such important advance in the sense of success of the mitigation, that we need to be pulling back at all.
And the president says he's hoping to reopen the U.S. in weeks, but wants to make sure people are healthy so we don't have to go back and implement restrictions again. And Dr. Fauci also warns there will be more cases when social distancing restrictions are relaxed. We'll have more coming up on the news at 5. For now, we'll send it back to you in the studio, Karen.
All right. Thank you, Kim. Every day, many of you are calling, emailing with questions about the impact of the coronavirus pandemic. Now, luckily, we have a doctor on staff to answer as many questions as possible. Here's Dr. Frank McGeorge.
I've spent a lot of time emphasizing the importance of going out of your way to protect people at risk for severe disease, including people over 65 and individuals with chronic medical conditions like high blood pressure, diabetes, and lung disease, because their odds of severe disease are so high. But what about healthy people? Viewers want to know what percentage of people without underlying health issues end up with serious disease from COVID-19. Well, a recent study of U.S. data collected between mid-February and the end of March found about 22% of basically healthy people end up in the ICU. Now, on the other side, 73% of people who are basically healthy do not even get admitted to the hospital. Now, another question on viewers' minds is whether they should continue to go to medical facilities for necessary treatments like dialysis, even though they are at high risk because of age and other medical issues. Well, the answer is yes. Treatments like dialysis are more critical to keeping you healthy compared to the risk of being exposed. Now, when you do go for care, you should take extra precautions to protect yourself, though. Finally, forward-thinking viewers have asked, once we get back to normal, what is the likelihood we could see another outbreak after the stay-at-home order is lifted? Well, the answer is it's very possible. That's the second wave you might have heard the coronavirus task force talk about, and it's the reason everyone will need to more permanently alter their personal hygiene habits. Now, the fact is, until we have a vaccine or we have built up enough herd immunity from natural exposures, we will remain vulnerable to the virus. Depending on how long our natural immunity lasts after infection, which we simply don't know yet, a vaccine may be our best long-term solution to prevent COVID-19 from recurring. Back to you.
Right. Thank you, Doc. And don't forget, we're posting the doctor's questions and answers on clickondetroit.com. If you haven't heard your question answered on TV, it might be posted online, so check it out. You can also submit new questions there as well. Just go to the health page. Religious services all around the world are changing, taking place under the shadow of this pandemic. Here's video from Australia, where the cathedral in Brisbane was nearly empty on this Good Friday. The only people inside were members of the clergy and camera crews who were streaming the service on the internet, sharing their faith while staying a safe distance apart. Let's go over to Paris. The small service at the historic Notre Dame also gave people a look inside the heavily damaged cathedral. The service began with a presentation of a crown of thorns believed to have been placed on the head of Jesus. It had been saved from the fire that devastated the cathedral almost 1 year ago. It was April 15th of 2019. Restoration work continues with hopes of completion in 2024. Here at home, churches are facing the same challenges as Easter weekend begins. Worshiping under the stay-at-home order will look very different this weekend. Local 4's Nick Monticelli talked to Detroit's Archbishop about the drastic changes the church is making to keep serving the faithful.
Detroit's Cathedral of the Most Blessed Sacrament is an icon on Woodward, and this Sunday it would be packed, up to 1,000 people inside for an Easter celebration. Instead, it will look like this. The Archdiocese has been live streaming masses for the past several weeks. They'll do it again on Easter Sunday.
It's very, very strange. But like everybody else in our community, I have to meet the challenge that's coming with what's going on, and I'm trying to do my best.
Archbishop Alan Vigneron says having Mass in an empty church is one of the most unique challenges he's faced, ranking
way up at the top, right up at the top. Because it's about trying to help people respond and it's about thinking everything from the bottom up. You're sort of reinventing it as you go along.
Video crews from the Archdiocese are now focusing all of their energy on live streaming. Cameras are positioned throughout the cathedral, those in charge of the broadcast in the basement.
This is the shot that he knows to look in this camera, because this is different than a typical Mass. He's not looking out into the congregation because there's nobody here.
And for so many, attending church every Sunday is routine. But without that, is the Archbishop concerned those routines won't continue once stay-at-home orders expire?
I am concerned, but I also have a sense that this experience is going to help people appreciate Sunday Mass all the more. And when we can get back to normal, we're going to enjoy it and celebrate it with even more gusto. We're going to appreciate what we've been without.
And after Easter Sunday Mass, the Archbishop will walk out the front doors here to Woodward and give his blessing on the city of Detroit. In Detroit, Nick Monticelli, Local 4.
Thank you, Nick. And while it might be very difficult to not go to church this weekend, remember, it is critical that we all help each other to get through this crisis. So at least we do have the live streaming capabilities so many people are able to connect. And we sure hope that you have a safe and happy Easter. Now, while most of us stay home this weekend, a little bit of good weather would surely give us a little boost. So, Ben, we did see some sunshine today. Can we keep it going?
Yeah, there will be a little bit more as we get into Saturday, Karen, but the one thing that is coming back are going to be the winds eventually. As of right now, they're starting to subside. Look at some of the gusts that are out there and compare these with the numbers that we were seeing yesterday, which were in the 40 and 50 mile per hour range. So these are noticeable. Definitely on the windy side of things, but a huge improvement over what we saw on Thursday. So that is leading to wind chills, which are in the 30s right now, mid-30s generally there in the north zone, upper 30s in the metro and south zone. And tonight, as temperatures slide into the 30s, we've got wind chills that are going to get mighty cold into tomorrow morning. So if you're getting up early on Saturday, hang out for the 4 zone. We'll check out your wind chills and, of course, your Easter forecast and find out when those winds come back, coming up in the 7-day outlook in just a few minutes, Karen.
All right, thank you, Ben. In the past, most of us never gave a second thought to the toilet paper business, but man, has that changed. Still ahead, new information that might better explain why the store shelves were empty. Up first, drones flying over a neighborhood to make sure no one steps outside of their homes. The story behind the crackdown after this break.